G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. With our AFL Fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars, we only talk about the lesser knowns and the players who bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. My name's Hef, and joining me back from his overseas trip is Geordie DeSena. How you doing, mate? Welcome back.
Thanks, mate. Good to be back on the pod. Back from overseas. Got stuck there for about 5 days, but good to be back on home soil.
Yeah, situation in the Middle East cancelled a few of your flights, or just made it pretty precarious to fly back. Is that right?
Yep, they cancelled the flight, which I was, got the money back, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then booked another flight the week after, which just worked out better. So
another week in London doesn't actually sound that bad, really.
Yeah.
Another week of holidays.
I was meant to come back for opening round, but I ended up watching it basically in London, waking up 8:30 a.m. and putting it on there. So it worked out okay.
You did miss the Lincoln Park show in Melbourne though, and then they cancelled in Adelaide. So
I did.
Yeah.
I was meant to go with Aaron Bryans on that one, so got missed out on that. But anyway, hopefully they come back.
Yeah, hopefully they do it for you guys, you big Lincoln Park fans out there. I was pretty devastated just for you when I heard the news, so hopefully they do come back for you. But we won't talk about Lincoln Park. We'll talk about footy and the AFL and the AFL Fantasy scores for our draft and Keeper League teams. I had the shittest week in all my leagues, really. I'm in 5 leagues this year, which is already too much for me. Because I've been Shiva Division, Shiva Champions League, in a draft league with a mate, and like some of their kids wanted to start doing drafts, so we joined in with them type thing. So just kind of like, it's more of, that one's not too serious. I'm not really fussed about losing that one. But then my 2 keeper leagues, I only won one of my keeper leagues, and it was against like one of the biggest spuds I've ever played against. So like, it doesn't even count as a win, I don't think. So I've had a horror week. Quite a few players just. Well, we'll talk about the game, I guess, itself. It's almost like half my players that used to be good fantasy players aren't good fantasy players with the way the game's being played this year. So
and you were showing me some of your big dogs in your midfield. They're the ones that have sort of let you down.
I didn't get a ton in the midfield, like Dawson, Brayshaw, all those kind of guys just really let me down. Had Grundy as well. Like some of these guys did nothing like on the weekend.
It is concerning.
You had
about some points.
Well, you had a good thought as well. Like you were saying, like the way the game's being played, we're not seeing as many tons in the midfield and that sort of stuff. And it's like a bit disheartening to watch your fantasy scores. It kind of, I know you expect like a good score to be 100, not like a 90 or and it feels like
I know the game's like, maybe as a fan, the spectacle is it's faster and it's higher scoring. But as a fantasy fan for so many years, you just want to see your mid ton up.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I do maybe think we've gotten too used to enjoying cheap possessions and stuff like that, and maybe the game does need to be a bit more direct and fasten up, but whatever. But if you look at the scores, like the fantasy scoring, what was it? How did it really compare? Like Vamps put out a really good tweet on Twitter today talking about like how tackles went down. I think it was 11%. Tackles are down. Clearances are down 6%. Ruck contests are down 16%. Ball ups and boundary throw-ins around the ground are down 24%, and repeat stoppages are down 33%. So like, it does make sense that the midfield and the rucks are struggling a bit more to score, and the kind of outside players and the forwards are going a bit better, don't you think?
Yep, definitely. And I think, at the bottom of that, the stoppage points, they're down 8%, but the transition is up 12%. So those are those rebounding halfbackers, those midfielders that can go inside, outside. That's sort of what we saw in opening round and this week. So it'll be interesting to see whether it slows down from here. But I'm a little bit concerned. But I think, in a keeper league, we can talk about it. But I'm sort of like looking at targeting some of these transition guys if a trade comes through or something like that. Because at the moment, it seems like that's the way it's going.
I did bang on about it all pre-season that if stoppage scoring was going to go down, it's going to have to be made up somewhere else, and it kind of looks like it has been. And I kind of just wish I was probably more proactive with my trading. Like, I know it's hard to trade out an Andrew Brayshaw for someone who seems unders, you know what I mean? Or trade out a Jordan Dawson, although I think he will be fine eventually. Maybe I wish I was a bit more proactive with that sort of stuff.
Brayshaw's hard because he could also be an outside player. It's just the role that he plays.
So looking at this as well, so stoppage points, down 8%, transition up 12%. Kick-in points are up 29%, so that's like probably why Houston and that are going a lot bigger. And then throw-in points per game are down 23%, so like a quarter of what they were from those boundary throw-ins. Like, it really kind of explains why the rucks especially have been pretty poor.
Struggling.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. You've got here the fantasy scoring for the week. Have you got any comments you want to make on the team totals and things like that?
Yeah, there's some teams with the points, like this week Hawthorn scored 1,904, but I think last week they only scored 1,400, so it's a massive change this week, and whether that's opposition or not. But there are
last
some
week
teams,
Collingwood were like
they were 1,800
as well, and then this week they're only 1,500. So.
Yeah, so I don't know whether that's the opposition or how the game's going. They're chipping it around more. Hawthorn were chipping it around ridiculous amounts against Essendon. But
did you see Sicily take a bounce while standing to himself?
Waiting, exactly. But there are some teams that are concerning, like Port Adelaide, for example.
They only had 1,200 points.
Which is like 650 points less than Hawthorn.
Yeah.
So like everyone's saying, Port's run, Rosie Butters, Bergman. But if we're not going to score points,
if they're not getting their hands on the ball,
how are we going to? But I don't know. But hopefully there's more data this week on that. Yeah,
and that's it. And like we will note that like it does sound doom and gloom, but it's actually like there's probably people out there that are really benefiting from this as well, and they're loving it. It's just like the kind of teams that we've built over the years are probably struggling because the reason why I've got them in is for the way that fantasy scoring used to be, I guess. And there's, like I said, there's probably people out there that are doing really well with these new rules as well. So
and maybe more forwards as well. Like we saw some key forwards kick some bags.
Yeah, but I think I saw on First Crack last night on Fox Footy that there's like 3 times as many key forwards that have kicked bags already at this stage of the season or something like that. So that is probably a good thing for football. But like, it always sounds like doom and gloom. But then like every year we see like, I remember when the stand rule first came in, we're like, oh geez, this was fast. And like, there's not as many stoppages and things like that. And then come mid-season where bodies get tired, there's a few injuries, the weather slows things down, the game kind of reverted back to type. And we've kind of seen that all the time. Even like when they brought in the new ruck rule about players being able to open palm, push off each other and stuff like that. We saw like Tim English really struggle when that first came in, but then like he's picked himself back up again in last season as well. So like sometimes there's just adjustment periods and things like that, so we might have to wait through those. It's hard to really get a gauge. Anyways, before we get into the round review, just want to thank Keeper Fantasy for their support this pre-season. And again, even though the AFL Fantasy season has started, it's never too late to bring your team and your league over to Keeper Fantasy. So if you're using another fantasy product and you're not happy with it, just get in contact with Ryan Power and he will help you kind of migrate your league over. Go as far as even getting some of the history and things like that brought into your league and stuff like that as well. So it's a great platform run by a great person who's more than happy to help out people out there in the fantasy world. So head to keeperfantasy.com, check that one out. And if you want to bring your league over, let's do it as soon as you can. Anyways, let's get into the round review. Let's get on to the Carlton versus Richmond shit show. Why do we have to have Essendon on a Friday and Carlton and Richmond on a Thursday? Like, honestly, I know this gets brought up all the time, but like, what are we doing? Like, who is the game for? Is it for spectacle, or is it just to make as much profit out of the biggest crowds there is? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to change it next year. I've heard rumorings, but I think the whole Essendon Friday night thing was the merit trade saga.
I get that, but like
the rivalry.
Play it on a Saturday night or something. Like it's ridiculous. There's no point us having to sit through that in prime time. And it felt like we were just waiting for Saturday, like 2 days of shit games to get to some good games. It's just so annoying. Play them, Sunday twilight or whatever. Carlton versus Richmond, though, Cooper Lord had 80 points. He's on the Too Good for the Podcast bubble. He was 90% owned on Friday night in keeper leagues. You had a few observations you saw about him because he wasn't really lining up on the wing that much, was he? Yeah,
so he's interesting. Like, I think the good thing about him is he's definitely best 22 now. I think last year or the year before we were worried about his role. They just signed him to like 2029, so big raps on him now. I think Adam Chera out of the side helps him get some of those CBAs, which he did in opening round, but on the weekend he only had, I think it was about 9 or 10%, I think, from your stats. So more wing time, but potentially more even forward last week. So, but to score 80 points, he's doing quite consistently, which is good there. He's a guy that could pick up forward status maybe at times. I just think he's solid now in that team, and he's a good pick for keepers.
And he's got that inside-outside run, like can play inside, can play outside. So he's probably one that we're looking at, and he's, 20-something years old?
Yep.
Pretty young. So, yeah, he's definitely a good option at the moment, and I think everyone's jumped on board anyway. Mark Pitnet had 78 points. He's more than serviceable as the number one ruck. There was no Reedy this week, obviously, but you just got to kind of monitor that one, I think. Oliver Florent had the 75 points. See, like when they recruited him, and then Campbell Chesser. Was it Chesser Campbell or Campbell Chesser? I never can remember.
Campbell Chesser, yeah.
I assumed that Chesser probably wouldn't be best 22 and they'd play Florent on the wing.
Yep.
But they're definitely playing him as more of a halfback. So watch for DPP. Is there any concerns with like Newman? I think he'll be back this week. Is that right?
Yes.
If they play him.
They've got a bye. So then after that, if they play him, whether he needs VFL time. But yeah, maybe Florent is because Newman's out. They need a distributor out there. One thing I did notice with Carlton is they don't seem to chip it around as much around the back line.
No.
They're very handball happy. Like, and the midfielders scored. You look at the midfielders, all of them had almost 20 handballs each. Yeah. So it's a different. Like, when the game was hot and Richmond were coming back, they never seemed to just slow it down. Yeah. They just try to keep bombing it.
Well, that was Sam Doherty's criticism on Dan Does Footy, is that they don't have a plan B. Yeah. And we've seen another team that had Michael Voss involved in it not having plan Bs. It was just contested midfield. And when the contested midfield was getting beaten, there was just nothing they could do. And I feel like that's a bit of a theme across a couple of sides that have had Mick Voss in it. But anyway.
I'd just say with the 75 is a great score, but it would be nice if they chipped it around a bit in defence.
Yeah, exactly. And then, just watch with Newman. Cowan came back in, but he didn't really get going. So I'm not sure if that's his permanent role is what I'm trying to say. Harry Mackay had 72 points. You're going to take that as a forward. Only kicked the 2 goals, but and again, it was only playing against Richmond, but it's just they target him. He's like the obvious target
only one, really.
Up there. Kind of like Lynch as well. Like, I know he missed a heap of goals, but if he would have kicked straight, he would have had a monster score, and they were targeting him because there's just no one else to kick to as well. So he even might be an option as well. But moving on to the Tigers, Jack Ross had 93 points. He's getting enough midfield time and finding enough of the footy just to be a good forward option. Just that forward status might not last, don't you reckon?
Yeah, probably not this year if he keeps this role. So maybe next year he's obviously lose that. But for this year, great pick. Should be serviceable.
I think so too. He went first round in our draft, so we kicked 12, and so effectively 13th round type thing. Not a bad pick. Sam Grlj had the 90 points. Do we call him too good for the podcast now, or do we give another week?
I think we need another week, only because he's a young player. Yeah. And he scores in bursts. So we saw he did a 40-point quarter, then a 2-point quarter, then a 40, then a 9, I think. Yeah. So just
needs to put it together.
Just I'm worried that looks amazing and zigging and zagging and I think it was plus 17
in one position
chain,
play. Yeah,
which
that's
is amazing.
Incredible. I saw that. That was awesome. I've got him in the two Shiva leagues that I'm in, and it was pretty awesome to have. I thought I was going to be winning by a mile on Thursday night. But anyway, Sam Banks had the 86 points. I had no idea who this number 6 was running around out there, because I think he's changed his hair as well. Has he shaved it? Or did he have that last season?
Yeah.
I don't know. But then, so I realised it was him. But I guess I think he's already too good for the podcast, but it's more like, can him, Short and Grlj all coexist together? It seems like they can, going by this.
They did in this game, but...
You're not playing Carlton every week though as well.
Short came out from out of nowhere. Hey, 114. That's massive. Yeah. I thought he was sort of behind Banks I went with this year. But
I picked him over Banks in one league and wasn't sure if it was the right choice because I was worried about Banks' foot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so then it's turned out okay though, so in the end.
But maybe, yeah.
I think they can probably coexist. They're not going to be able to move the ball forward that quickly, so there may be just some chip around and stuff like that. That does help them all. Ryan Mansell had 79 points, probably just tip of the cap with 2 goals against Carlton. I wouldn't be reading too much into that. Sam Lawler did enough to get coaches excited about the future with his 68 points, but not probably playing as much midfield time as we may have thought or got the impression of in the preseason, yeah?
Yep, and he kicked 3 goals in that, I'm pretty sure. So, it looked awesome, but his second-year player, so he's going to be a good one in time. He's
a big boy, though. He's thick, he's solid. He's going to be able to hurt some people in the future. On to the Essendon versus Hawthorn. Sam Durham had his 94 points. We said he's just probably going to go around the 80 mark this season. He's probably made a good start to that, do you think?
He seems like he's got a good role in the midfield.
Yeah, he seems like the main guy. Yeah. The guy that they're trying to develop, build around type thing, which was good to see. Which is a good sign. Yeah, that is a good sign for him. Andrew McGrath had 82 points. Probably just slightly better than I thought he was going to be. I think with no Farrow in the side, I was assuming Farrow would be in there and he would be locked down, kind of back coached these kids down there. That's what my assumption would kind of be. He would help lock down, help actually defend and let these kids run off a little bit and do a few more distribution. But I think with no Farrow in there, he probably allows to lift the reins a little bit more and do a bit more in defence.
He's captain now, so he needs to stand up probably.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. But yeah, there was a bit of weird time on ground stuff that a lot of people are complaining about. So I think Parrish had low. Archie Roberts only had 59% or something. That's low. And Dyson Sharp was also low. Like, why not just unleash these kids? And then Caldwell only 50% in the second half.
It's so interesting because Caldwell and Parrish had 3-point third quarters.
Yeah.
Now their Tog was 50% each as well in that third quarter.
Yeah.
And Essendon were getting pumped. So I don't know what's going on there. Like, obviously we've seen other teams go with 2 rucks, or you got one player that has low Tog.
Yeah.
It looked like Essendon spread the whole midfield, every midfielder except for Zach Merritt, and played them 60%. If you look at the thing, it's about 60% Tog for all of the midfielders.
Yeah.
Which just seems like, surely that's not going to happen again this week.
Nah.
So yeah, and Caldwell, like, he's one of your boys as well.
Not anymore. Had to trade him.
Yeah,
had to. Got injured last year.
He was flying. He was on like 77 at half time, and he finished on 91.
Yeah, and that was like, was there big tackle numbers in there? Was that the thing?
I have to check on that.
But yeah, I'm just thinking maybe like the game, might have just opened up a bit more, and then it was kind of lost in there. Is James Sicily a genuine option again, or is it just 2 easy games, do you think?
What did he go?
I think he went
opening rounds.
I think he went 80 plus, was like 90 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's had 2 big scores
maybe.
now.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to get a ceiling score is good, isn't, like, that's not what he did much last year.
Nah. I'll just double check his round 1 score, but I'm pretty sure he's averaging 104 at the moment.
Yeah,
89. Yeah. So
he's probably, because he was one that was not 2G for P, right? He came back.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be one more, go back up into that 80 plus range
next
I think.
Week. Yeah. Your boy Josh Ward had 107 points. He's got to be on the Too Good for the podcast bubble. He's only got one more 80 plus score. What have you seen the uptick there? It's just they need another midfielder relying with Will Day out. We kind of called it that he would probably be the one that benefits the most, right?
Yeah. The thing with him is even the CBAs, like, he hasn't actually had a massive jump in CBAs. He's still sitting about 40-50%. I just think he's improved as a player, and he's more confident, had a good preseason, and he knows his role, and he's going to be a really good option, as a M6 or probably M5 to M7 in your team.
Yeah.
I feel like with Warple going, he's just like that Warple guy. And
Yeah.
Warple went at about 85 last year.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
That's
Yeah.
what I think he can do.
They are really 2 midfielders down when you think about it, and probably 3 when they already identified their midfield was weak and tried to recruit another one. So, yeah, like he's actually stepped up this season. He could be pretty handy. Jack Ginnivan, 99 points. He's also on the bubble because he went 80 plus last week, but pretty easy opposition. We'll see if he can do it again next week. Cam Mackenzie, pretty interesting one because he kind of overtook Connor McDonald in the CBAs this week and scored the 95 points. 16 CBAs overall. What did you make of his game, and what do you think? Do you think he holds his spot in the team?
Yeah, I think the first week he was either out, concussion. So he's come in and was in the first CBA, which to me was surprising because last week it was Connor McDonald.
Yeah.
But this week they've gone with Cam Mackenzie. So that to me says that that's the preferred option.
Yeah.
95 points is like unreal. And I mean, we'll talk about Connor McDonald next, but he's probably a better forward. I know I want to see him in the midfield, but he went about 30% CBAs and he kicked like the first 2 goals, or very early goals. Yeah. He's almost like playing that position too well in that forward. So I think they're going to go with Cam Mackenzie. Yeah. At the moment with this, with the splits,
we still should see Connor McDonald go around that 80 mark.
Yes, I think he's still going to be a very good forward option, especially to grab a couple CBAs.
Yeah, because he had 9 still on the weekend.
But I just think maybe he's not that full-time inside mid.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're potentially thinking of.
Yeah, well, and that's probably maybe what Sam Mitchell was hinting at as well. Like
sometimes forward, sometimes midfield.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Josh Weddle had 94 points, kicked 2 goals. He was playing up forward, I think. I missed a lot of this game.
Bit of midfield as well.
Bit of midfield. Yep. Probably against Essendon. Probably, I don't know. Yes, Hawthorn were crazy. Like, there's just so many, like, not massive scores, even because they're generally like a low scoring team, but there was just like, they had a really high floor, lots of 70s, 80s, that sort of stuff.
There's only 5 players that didn't go 70 plus.
Yeah.
From Hawthorn.
Probably says more about Essendon, so maybe just stream people against Essendon.
Port this week.
I don't know if Port can score themselves. Maybe we can just stream Essendon players against Port. I don't know. But like I said, like Battle got 94 and took 10 marks, had 8 disposals. Connor Nash had 86 with 5 tackles and 23 disposals.
They were just chipping it around heaps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it says more about the opposition there. I think one of the biggest dilemmas of this week is the Meek versus Reeves ruck split. So Ned Reeves had the 73 points. He only had the 17 hit-outs, but kicked 2 goals when he was forward, so he was quite serviceable there. But it was a genuine like 50-50 split, I think. Like Lloyd Meek had the 65 points. He had the 26 hit out, so we had more than Reeves. But like, yeah, it's just concerning for Meek owners, I think, out there, because he would have gone quite highly.
Definitely. And, well, he would be in your top 100, I reckon, keepers. Well, he was pretty high up, actually, I think.
In all the single season drafts, like Shiva and stuff like that, after your kind of top dogs went, he was the next one going like a few rounds later type thing.
He had the 90 average last year. So
yeah.
It was interesting because they've had Blackiston up against basically a double ruck.
Yeah.
Which they didn't really probably need to come in and do. But maybe, unless Mitchell saw it as an opportunity to try this out, I don't know. It was definitely different to... But they did obviously they lost opening round. So whether it's a change to just try it out. But, interesting to see what happens there. But as a Meek owner...
I can't see Reeves getting dropped after that, though, either. So, going to be another... interesting week there. Let's move on to the Western Bulldogs versus GWS game. Aaron Norton had 123 points with 6 goals. I know when the midfield is so on top like that, I think you're going to see these key tools dominate, because Sam Darcy, he had 86 points as well, kicking 4 goals.
I think this is sort of at the top of the show we're saying about the key forwards. If the midfield are bringing it to them, we can see some of these guys kicking some bags.
Yeah, I think they're going to be like in. I guess especially Darcy. We thought he was in the top 6 forward kind of conversation type thing. Sorry, and I think Bulldogs are going to be a top 6 kind of team as well. So like, I think he's going to be. These guys are going to be like just beneficial from them being a better team this year.
100%.
The big one of the week probably is Lachie Jaques. 112 points. Is it Jaques or Jaques? I don't know. I'd say Jaques, really. Anyway,
Jaques.
He had 112 points. Awesome game, and just looks like ready for it, like to be an AFL player. And it's just nice to see another guy we talked up, I guess, as an underage player. I went back and had a read what I said about him in the drafting analysis guide. He was one I kind of said, make sure you look at him for fantasy in the future, which is good. Maddie wanted me to make him too good for the podcast, but like my only thing with him is like he's playing up on the wing a lot. Like you see at the CBAs, he's up on that wing, which, like I've been saying all preseason, maybe the wingers aren't going to be that bad this year because of the way the transition type of stuff. But like, I'm not willing to make him too good for the podcast just yet because I want to see him back it up.
One more.
Yeah, exactly. Just needs to do it again. Connor Butterick, he's pretty much too good for the podcast at the moment. 87 points. Could have been so much more though as well. Like he was on the bench for on the first, I think it was the third quarter, just the Bulldogs were so on top that the ball just didn't come down to the defence, so it didn't go near him. And then when it did start coming down, he went to the bench and had his because I think he has 6 minutes off each term. It's always at the same time. And just didn't get a touch in that pretty much the whole third quarter. But then he scores so quickly because he would kick out, handball receive, kick again, that sort of stuff.
And he's taken a lot of kick outs as well.
And he's using it well by foot, so they're trusting him with the ball.
I heard Bailey Dale went
forward in the end,
which is only going to help these sort of guys.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just amazing the flexibility that Bulldogs have at the moment, given that they don't have Buku's being serviceable and Lob's being really being good as well, but they don't really have dominant key defenders, but they're kind of making up for it in having all these versatile players that can kind of play tall, play small, play different roles, go up on the wing, that sort of stuff. And I think it really confuses the opposition as to who's playing on who and that sort of stuff. And they just outrun them all, which is going really well at the moment for them. Joel Frazier had 77 points. Dominant game for the Dogs, but only the 10 CBAs. On Champion Data how they classify players. So he was a midfielder forward at the start of the season. They've changed its classification to I think it's general forward or whatever it is, or medium forward at the moment. So he's not doing enough in the middle.
He's
for
probably
to
I think opening round he didn't really have that many CBAs.
So he's not having a lot at the moment. But again, I'm not sure if he's doing 77 points when the Bulldogs are challenged a bit more. You know what I mean? So I'm still not sold on him either. I'm a bit concerned really.
I think maybe for the future, the Dogs, if they're in this window, and their midfield, Bont and Lib. Lib had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
I know these guys are getting older, but maybe they're just trying to go for it. And he's going to be a gun, in time. I
actually did kind of expect that this might not be his breakout year because I just didn't see the CBA uptick, especially when people like Treloar might come back through the side and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's
and we sort of saw last year, Riley Sanders was the preseason hype of, he's definitely on the midfield, and Bevo was reluctant to put him in there straight away. So... Yeah,
could be the same situation. Moving on to the Giants, Jake Riccardi had 95 points. He's on the 2G 4P bubble as well. Had 8 marks and kicked 2 goals. Plus he gets that extra 17 points in the hit-outs and the ruck. So, yeah, do you think he's a legit option?
I think he's legit because I just, like, Kieran Briggs had 50% time on ground and they're rotating him a lot. I just think Riccardi suits the new ruck rules, so they're seeming to use him a lot more. He's not just that sort of chop out. He's seeming to take a bit more of the ruck than Briggs.
Yeah.
And especially against Tim English, like, he's probably a good matchup for there around the ground.
Yeah.
During the game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, a lot of people are worried about Briggs because, like, they've got... Like,
they might play Madden soon.
That's what I was going to say. Like, Madden probably suits the game a bit more, can go forward, and it's just like swap with Riccardi. Yeah, it could be pretty dire.
Like 50% told. Like, we thought maybe last year it's a management thing. He's got something, but he's coming out again doing it and even less.
Yeah. It's going to be pretty interesting. Jaden Laverty, will tip the cap to him. He buried me. So the guy, I lost by 50 points in my league after, like I said, Brayshaw got a 50, Grundy got a 50. He lost by 50 points. If one of those guys just tons up, I'm fine, like they should. And then he had Jaden Laverty pulled out a 94 against me as well, which is... that's the difference. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like GWS couldn't really move the ball, so there's a lot of chip around. So he took 13 marks, Laverty, in all of that, which is crazy. Toby Green, last week people were writing him off, saying he wasn't it. Now, he had the most CBAs for GWS, I think, this week, with 25 overall. And so, like, if you're getting, like, that many CBAs, he scored 94 points this week. It's just hard to not score when you're getting 25 CBAs per game. You know what I mean?
And, like, Giants haven't, like, they're going to get better, or hopefully they can, get on top of some teams. So he's going to be better than that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good, really.
Absolutely.
Losing side.
Yeah. And then Connor Iden had 88 points. He often puts up scores like this once in every, blue moon type thing, or once in every 4 weeks type thing. Kind of like Laverty, just a bit of chip around to stem the bleeding. I think he got involved in that. Had a few thank yous in the DMs about Joe Fonte this week because so apparently I put out the video last week saying I don't think there was a podcast talking about Joe Fonte earlier than we were. Apparently Hardball gets Ryan Daniels.
They love him as well.
Yeah. Were they doing it 6 months ago though when he first kind of played?
You might have been first. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
They have been big fans.
The Fontempelli. They kept commenting on my stuff saying not even the best player in the family. In his family. I don't even know what that means.
Because he's Ella Roberts. He's like family members with Ella Roberts.
So the AFLW player.
AFLW player.
Yeah, another one. That makes sense.
She's one of the best in the AFLW.
That makes sense. Yeah. I get it now because they commented on the post. I'm like, what are they talking about? But yeah, 84 points. He actually looks good though. Like, what I think I like most about Fonte, that 90% disposal efficiency from those 13 kicks that he had as well. So, like, you're kicking that well, they're going to trust it with the ball in hands,
Yeah, I've got to think because, like, we saw Whitfield's been down a little bit these last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Ash went into the midfield for 18%.
Yeah.
In the second half, though, so they were getting pumped. That's Fonte's sort of taking a bit of a market share piece now of this back line. I mean, Ash went big, but we saw Whitfield go low, and especially in opening round, I didn't see them chip around as much. They've potentially changed the game style slightly. So I think Fonte's now in there, and he's a really good option. And I just wouldn't be surprised if it affects Whitfield. Yeah,
I'm the same. Like, I kind of said that last week. We thought Fonte wouldn't score because these two were in the side, but he's kind of bringing Whitfield back. Yeah, so yeah, sucks for Whitfield owners. But again, it's early days. Like, it's hard to, you can't really panic just yet. Tanner Bruhn had 94 points. Another one that's on the bubble for first 2 weeks. Spent a bit more time in the midfield this week, but I think either way, if he's a midfielder or a halfback, it's a pretty good option.
Definitely. Yeah. Hopefully it's enough to get the DPP just for that flexibility.
Yeah, another Geelong player from this matchup, Shannon Neal, had the 77 points. I said in the preseason, I just think he's going to be handy, like F4, F5 this season, don't you reckon?
Well, yeah, like he's come along a lot as... in that team. So, and he's one of their main key targets. I mean, you got Jezza up there, but he's probably the number 2 guy. So, good system. So, yeah, well, I can't see why he can't put a couple good games. And if you can stream him as well, in some games,
he just kick bags. Like, I think he can score okay most weeks, especially like when he's still scoring well with Jez on the side, like kicking goals and playing pretty well. Mitch Edwards, he only had the 40 points. Just good to see him get a game because he could be their ruck of the future. But onto Freo, like their scoring's pretty low. I think he had it at the top. What they score? They were the third lowest, 13.59. And that's with like Sarong turned up, didn't he?
Yep. So you had Jackson 125, you had Sarong 108, and then you had your third highest score, which was Murphy Reid on 78.
Yeah.
So it was a massive difference between the top two and him. And it is concerning. And they only lost, they were up as well. So it's...
So that it's actually working for them.
It's working for them,
Yeah.
you know, so it's concerning. And like your guy Brayshaw, highest CBA is 53.
That's incredible. Yeah, that sucks.
So it's concerning.
But yeah, it's good probably for them from a real football perspective, but from a fantasy perspective, it's not great for us. On to the Sydney versus Brisbane game. Riley Bice, or Roger Bike as my son calls him, 103 points. It's what we saw like in the preseason, like just everywhere off that half back line. I think he could be one of the breakout players of this season, don't you reckon?
Definitely.
It's just being mature age and coming from a fantasy pedigree as well. Like, yeah.
Yep, and they needed that. Like that was Matt Roberts last year. He started off with his hot run, now his new role, and they needed someone like that back there. So Bice seems to be the guy. Yeah,
Speaker Roberts, he played on the wing again and got another 80, so he's another one that's on the bubble, I think. And then Joel Amadi, probably there's probably a few tip of the caps here, like 5 goals for Joel Amadi with 100 points. Tom McCartan, 27 possessions, 8 marks. Like, you're not going to be having that as a key defender each week. Justin McInerney's definitely another one on the bubble, though. He had the 84 points. He's got the Eagles next week as well, so that could be another big score. And no Goulden, probably.
And maybe Heaney. So Heaney went off with a hamstring tightness. So someone's going to have to go on that midfield. Yeah. And he already had the CBAs prior to that. So he's probably locked in there for the foreseeable future, really.
He could be big as a forward this season. Another one's Angus Sheldrick as well, could be in for a bit of a bump. He had the 87 points. I think he's probably likely to see the biggest uptick, you know what I mean? Because McInerney's still going in there a fair bit. But you could see a bigger uptick from Sheldrick, which could be pretty handy for the owners out there.
So sad about Errol, hopefully. We'll get some news today, but they might go on for surgery and he might be out for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, that's crazy. He didn't look happy. Like, he looked pretty down about it, so I'm fearing the worst. Darcy Wilmot had 103 points. He'll be too good for the podcast next week, I reckon, as well. He was as close as you possibly can be last year without getting it anyway.
Did he have CBAs, I think? Whether it was this week or last week, I think he might have gone into the middle, which is very interesting.
Yeah, Wilmot. I can just double check that if my Instagram page would load. Where we go looking here, this one here. Let's have a look at the CBAs. He did. He had 4, so he went into the middle. So that's interesting.
A bit of a different, where they were trying stuff.
Yeah.
There.
Well, I guess getting smashed as well. And he's a pretty hard at it kind of guy. So maybe that just kind of helped him or boosted him in there. And then the other one I talk about is like Darcy Fort. I picked him up with a second to last round pick out of a 34 deep list. Had 82 points. Like, Draper just had really low time on ground, but I know they rate Fort internally. Like, and I'm expecting Draper to get injured at some point as well. So like, I think he's just a very good backup ruck to own in your league.
I think. Yep, and it's going to take a while. Draper needs to get some time into in his legs.
Do you know, the ideal scenario would be that they pump Draper up, give him more CBAs, Darcy Fort sits forwards, gets DPP, and then Draper gets injured. That was my plan, and just hoping it kind of happens later on. On to the Collingwood versus Adelaide game. It was a pretty good game, actually. Dan Houston, 119 points, which is a bad number for Port Adelaide supporters, but
wasn't 120.
No, it wasn't 120. Sorry, only 119 this week. I did say that. 11 marks, which is just crazy back there. Do you reckon he's back?
He is back.
Yeah, he's back.
I think he's back. They're using him like he's basically taking everything back there.
Yeah,
I think he's back. What did he do at Port? 390 plus seasons.
Yeah.
Probably can do that. Even if it's 85, it's still awesome.
Yeah, well, it's going to be pretty hard to drop back if he keeps going like around that 80 mark now, you know what I mean? Like, after 2 big scores at the start. I think the difference is just taking more kick-ins and things like that, and he's being a lot more trusted with the distribution.
He looks confident. Like, I think he just wasn't screaming for the ball last year in that system.
Yeah.
Now he's like give it to me sort of thing.
Yeah, and he's just such a good user of the footy that they'd probably listen to him. Isaac Quainer had 87 points. Am I missing something with him? Like, why do you think he's scoring so well? Is it just Howe being out and Howe sometimes takes heaps of marks as a key defender? Like, what's the go?
Probably they're just the Pies' defense just seem to be chipping it around.
Yeah,
I mean that's what I saw definitely in the first game. I didn't catch a heap of this game, but all of that back six, like even Josh Jaques, they all just seeming to score.
Yeah.
So whether that's helping out at the moment for him.
Yeah.
But if he's on your waivers, like why not sort of take a piece of it now while he's on a hot run.
Yeah, he's actually very highly owned. I'll put the graphic out tomorrow, but he's very highly requested on the waivers this week. Patrick Lipinski had 85 points. He's in the bubble too. These are all players I'd written off, him and Quainer, so that's interesting. More of an outside half forward role. They're kind of no real different for Lipinski, really. He just seems to be getting a bit more of it. Onto the Crows, though. Wayne Miller had 111 points. He just seems more attacking, like more... Again, ball in hand kind of guy, distributing off halfback this season as well. But it's only one game. But yeah.
Well, like Mark Keane used to take kickouts for them, and he's obviously injured. So, I mean, I assume Wayne Malera was taking the bulk of that as a distributor. So that's a good sign. Obviously got a lot of continue out like in his body last year. So, you know, it doesn't really surprise me that he's sort of taken another jump this year.
So we'll have to wait and see. Only one game, but yeah, he can put out good scores like that. Alex Neil-Bullen had 103 points. He's just a handy contributor. Like, he's always on that close to being too good for the podcast, kind of not type thing. Josh Rochelle is one that you had a lot of interest in ahead of the weekend. He had 98 points. Had the 50% CBAs. With Rankin coming back in the side, like, who do you think makes way? Because I don't think Rochelle, like, is going to drop from 50%. Like, I think that's about his mark. So, like, Berry, Peatling, or Saligo, one of those guys is going to have to drop. Who do you think it is?
I've been thinking about this a lot this morning. So, like, Berry had a pretty good game. Saligo had the 60% TOG. So, do they, you know, but do they want him just as that low TOG guy? They did the whole double ruck thing. So, it was like McAndrew and Murray.
Yeah.
I think they like that.
Yeah.
So, would they drop a ruck to get Thriller in? Don't know. There's Bond there. They could bring McElhaney in.
Yeah.
It's probably... Is it Saligo?
Or is it... Did they spend Peatling forward more like he was last year as well? Like I said, I agree with you on Berry. Like, Berry offers something a bit different. Like, he's that kind of hard-nosed mid where the others kind of aren't as hard-nosed.
And you probably want to get minutes into Saligo, I assume.
Yeah. Because he's like he's had a bit of time off and stuff like that. So Peatling's probably the one who drops out for mine, I think.
And then maybe they drop another position and that's just a split time. And maybe Rankin is... you know, a little bit mid, but forward. They're
talking that can they sustain 3 talls as well. That's always been a big talking point for the Crows because not many people do it these days and it doesn't really work for a lot of people. So I think the issue with them is they want to put Thilthorpe in the ruck, but maybe Murray gives them that opportunity as well. I don't really know.
And it worked, so they probably won't change that, I think.
Yeah.
With the rucks sort of situation.
Yeah, although I feel like Crows should have put Collingwood to the sword a little bit more. Like, I don't know. See how we go. Josh Worrell had 98 points. Like I said in the preseason, he only needs to pick up like another couple of kicks per game to push into that 80 territory, and I think he's going to do that this year. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, I mean he's pretty much established himself now as a gun in that half back line.
Yeah, so 100%.
Yep.
Isaac Cumming had 96 points. Like I've got written here, I'm still not interested, but the more I think about it, like maybe he's a beneficiary of.
Wing roll transition.
Yeah, that
maybe
sort of
he
stuff.
can get into that.
And he's one of the more established ones. He's like, you know, more of a senior body, that sort of stuff.
And he had a bit of an interrupted preseason last year with the hamstring stuff.
Yeah.
So if he's had a good preseason, he might actually be. I might look at that actually on my waivers.
Yeah, see if he's there. Yeah, it's not a bad option. Sam Berry, like we mentioned before, 89 points. But yeah, like I just do think he offers more than the other guys do in terms of just in and under type mid. You kind of can support Dawson a little bit more with that sort of stuff, putting blocks on, that sort of thing.
I reckon he was the number one. He was the M1 this weekend. Like he had the most CBAs.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Dawson was M2, so that's a good sign.
And the 7 tackles seems a lot, but it's kind of doable for him. Like didn't he have one season where he had 17 tackles in a game or something?
Yep.
Yeah, ridiculous. And then the 19 touches and 4 marks to go with it. So Sam Berry might be someone to look at. Braden Cook had 84 points. Like Crows have always rotated their wingmen. Like they don't, apart from Cumming, they move it around a bit. Dan Curtin was doing it a fair bit last year. They played Braden Cook out there for most of the night, and he's listed as a forward, so that could be a little bit more viable.
Very handy
as well,
and especially as you're saying with transition. With, you know, Cumming there is like it could
work. So maybe think about him as a forward. He was very highly requested on the waivers. Max McElhaney does this all the time. He had 78 points, but he's a player that people always ask questions about because he is a good user of the footy, but I just don't think they'll ever prioritise his ball use over his defensive ability. That's all.
Yep, that's fair.
And then Lachlan McAndrew, I was watching Cam Mooney after the game interviewing him, and Cam Mooney just kept calling everyone brother Like, it was really annoying. Like, it reminded me of Hulk Hogan. Like, he's like, "You going, brother this, brother that." And then there was an interview with him in the locker rooms later with someone else. I think it was Nick Dacos or someone. He was just calling him brother as well. So it was like, it was just weird. Anyway, kept calling Lachlan McAndrew brother. So now all I can think about is calling him brother McAndrew. But anyway, 71 points he had. I guess after seeing some of the gross ruck scores over the weekend, you got to be pretty happy with McAndrew's score there, don't you?
First game for the Crows. Like, I saw a stat from Fantasy Freako. He said he had 6 hit-outs to advantage. Darcy Cameron had 0.
Yeah.
So it obviously worked for them. They want to run with this. I don't see it changing right now at the moment. And, yeah, I was listening to the Aaron Bryan's interview with Nixie, and he said that, you know, Rob and McAndrew, they could look at it, but right now they like what they're basically
doing with Murray. Yeah, exactly. So Rob owners, don't get too excited.
Yes.
It's probably not going to happen for a while. Rob is working on his jumping, though. He's practicing bending his legs and straightening them really fast. Anyway, North Melbourne versus Port Adelaide. What a shit show this was. Dylan Stephens is probably one of the players I've had the most questions about this week with his 135 points. Yeah. Like, the thing is, Port was just so bad. Like, probably the worst I've seen them in 15 years. Like, since, like, the Primus days, really. And
that is not good, because cars come in and that's the whole thing about the change.
Yeah.
And now
well, I was never a big fan of recruiting from within under the current regime. I felt like we needed some outside ideas. But anyway, our wings that they were playing, kind of running through, was mainly McKinley and Ware. So very kind of inexperienced. Like, Ware's a guy who couldn't even get a game for GWS last year.
Yeah. McKinley's come in as
it's his second game, isn't it? Yeah. So, like,
second game,
yeah. So, like, Stephens could be taking the next step, but, like, he's definitely one that I just want to, like, here's my dilemma. Like, I've got waiver priority 1.
Yeah.
Do I burn it on Dylan Stephens, or do I wait until someone better comes along? What would you do?
I think if we'll talk about a guy from West Coast, but if there's like a Murdock there, I'd probably go him, because he might get forward status. I don't know. Stephens, transition game, wing. Yeah. Is it there? He did look like more confident, which is a good thing. He's a top pick.
And he was a fantasy player as an underage player.
Yeah. So it's like
wing hasn't suited him at AFL level because it hasn't been a scoring position.
I guess it's like, if you do have the waiver pick, you should go and get him, because who knows what would happen. But
I just don't know if I want to burn priority 1.
Yes.
Yeah, like to get someone better later on, you know. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, might do Murdoch instead. But anyway.
I think Murdoch, we can talk about him a bit later.
Luke Parker had 100 points. You described it as the Jack Zeeble halfback role, didn't you?
Yes, well, yeah, there was a tweet. Actually, Freako did it.
Yeah,
and he did it in brackets. But 100% disposal efficiency for Parker.
Wow.
And I just didn't see... I saw it in the preseason, they did this, but I just never saw Parker as a half-backer that could use it well.
Oh, I thought just half-forward type thing.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't strike... He's always struck me as a in and under type guy, not a user, but obviously he can do it quite well off the half-back line. The interesting thing is, like... Well, obviously now it looks like they're going to play McKercher in the midfield, because he's been working with Mick Barlow all pre-season, so I went pretty high on McKercher in a few drafts, which sucks a bit, but hopefully he can get that midfield time up and go okay.
To be honest...
And Fino Sullivan's come out of the defensive line as well, so like it kind of makes sense that he goes back there, right?
Yeah, I mean, North looked awesome. Like, their whole midfield dynamic and how they're using the ball is like, well, it makes sense. You're going to put your Sheasels, McKercher in the midfield and drive forward. Yeah. And that's obviously been a big change. And they've brought in some half-backers. Sullivan looks great, and whether he's a scorer, but
he's a good player.
He's a good player. He's a good impact player.
Yeah, and plus he can do a few lockdown jobs and stuff like that, and shut players out.
I like it.
Charlie Common's definitely a tip of the cap. I reckon I could have had 100 points playing on Ollie Lord yesterday. He had a nightmare. Tom Blameres. No, it's Tom Blamires. That's how you say it.
Yep.
77 points. He had the halfback role. My issue with him is, does it stay there? So obviously we may not have to worry about McKercher coming back to the halfback, but like I know they rate Hardiman quite highly as well, and he's been injured. Do they play him eventually? Does that bring him back to the pack? What are your thoughts?
Maybe. You got Caleb Daniel there, that a lot of North supporters unsure about him. Like, I think he stays in the side. There's obviously a clear change in the halfback there, where McKercher's come out and O'Sullivan. So they won, I think, for now.
They're going to
hold it for a bit.
Yeah.
Hardiman could potentially even just play as well.
Yeah, but more, because Hardiman probably can play like a lockdown role as well if they need to as well. Like, you might see McDonald or something come out of the side for someone like him.
Yep.
Let's move on to Melbourne versus St Kilda. Jacob Van Rooyen, 103 points. One of those key forwards we're talking about that kicked the bag.
He actually looked really fit and
he looks massive, like big, yes. like strong. Sorry, yeah.
And
like,
I think my check, whether it's just helping him, he's not the only guy.
Yeah,
like,
that's a big
it's helping
factor.
him, and he just looked awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, it makes sense to recruit someone like that just for their development. You know what I mean? And it's a pretty smart thing for King to do, just to kind of take a little bit of heat off of him and allow him to kind of just play his role a bit more freely. It makes sense, and hopefully we see that lead to a few more fantasy scores this season as well.
He takes some right contests in the forward line, so there's points there. Like, I was quite impressed by him.
Yeah, another one that's going quite highly on the waivers this week. Jaques Jaques had 77 points, 8 marks in defence. I think drafters would take that. It's just, I don't know, they had a win. I know it was like a win against St Kilda, but where is St Kilda really at? I feel like they might have some bad losses this year still, Melbourne, even though they did have a good win on the weekend.
They didn't score heaps, fantasy-wise. It was still that 1,400 range, so we didn't really see many ceilings. So, I agree with you.
Max Orr had 115 points, kicked the 4 goals. I feel like they just had no one to go with him in that defence. Like,
he's a gun, eh?
Well, because he can just, he's basically he's got the capacity of a midfielder type thing, but plays as a half forward, and he can just run around and get away from his player, and then play as a midfielder. He's pretty crazy. I said earlier in the preseason I thought he might be a top 10 forward option this preseason. Do you reckon he could go top 5?
Well, what would you probably need 90 plus to go top 5?
Yeah.
So can you go 90 plus? It's hard, but we haven't really seen much. We've seen Cheezel and Petrarca do it, but 90s. I'll go with top 10.
All
whether
right.
he can go that 80.
We'll keep top
plus.
10. Brad Hill had 110 points. He was on the wing but played the defensive side, so he got involved in a lot of just kind of dictating the play off halfback and chipping around and stuff like that. And there's a few outlet kicks as well that they kind of felt like he was one of the main users for them. Could be an option for contending teams because he's got forward status. But how old is he? In his 30s now, isn't he?
But forward status is handy, and I mean Saints have got a really good fantasy game, so on the wing as
just
well.
Can't win footy, that's all. Mitch Owens as well, he had 88 points. I think he's had 2 good scores in a row as well. Still kind of playing that undersized key forward role, but on the bubble and doing it while losing as well, which is pretty encouraging for him.
We've been waiting for him to sort of break out.
I'd written him off in my draft ranks.
I
said I'd written him off, and then he comes out and does this. So
we need a few more.
I just don't know why people still listen to me, to be honest. Lost 5 games on the weekend and said Mitch Owen was finished. But anyway.
More data.
Gold Coast versus West Coast, last game of the round. Joel Jeffrey had 96 points. I thought he'd pick up more this season. Again, the less stoppages means more transition, just more kicks and things like that. Only needed to get, a kick and a handball more each week, or 2 marks each week to go to the 80 mark. So I think he'll do that, and he'll get too good for the podcast eventually and just be more consistent this season.
Yep.
Will Powell had 90 points. Most used midfielder. I'm still not trusting it, though, are you?
I'm just not a massive Will Powell. I think he's he doesn't accumulate it as much. We didn't probably talk about Windsor, but he's sort of the same. He's got this inside role, but I just don't think he accumulates it.
Yeah.
He might get... I feel like against West Coast, this is a pop score.
Yeah. No, I think it might be.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think it might be too as well, because we saw high CBA usage last week.
And he got 40 or something. Yeah.
And then we're still going to see Rao come into the side. And then that brings me to the next guy, Alex Davies, who had 82 points. Rao's got to come into that midfield. So I think he's the first person to go out for Rao. I didn't realise how big Davies was, though. Next to Rao looked tiny. They were talking to each other in the change room. Rao was giving him tips and pointers and stuff. And Davies is huge, man. He's a big, thick lad.
He's come up.
Along, eh? He had the 7 CBAs. So, like I said, I think Rao probably comes in, drops him out, and I think then Powell probably drops back to a Davies share. So maybe I don't trust it at all, which is, I think that's probably the right option. Sam Closey had 80 points, another winger scoring well this week. So it's another interesting, maybe they are going to be 80 kind of guys.
Yeah.
Devon Robertson had 104 points moving on to West Coast now. 12 tackles in there, and he was the most used midfielder behind Reid.
So good for my classic.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure. I was kind of thinking about your overall point scoring thing. West Coast are just not going to be point scorers. I don't care how good anyone's role is, what they get. Players like Dev-Rob, even McCarthy, Reid. I'm just there's not enough point share for these guys to go around. But West Coast were actually alright. In terms of their
they
top
scored
1,500. Yeah, exactly.
Points. No, they scored more points than Gold Coast.
Yeah, exactly.
And got pumped.
Yeah, and then in like I said, I'm trying to say, it's a tough game. they did it in a hard game. So like,
and they chipped it around a little bit as well,
yeah,
which I liked.
Dictated the play a bit more.
Yeah.
So maybe we won't see as many putrid scores from this season. So, but yeah, like they had a whole heap of players with similar CBAs. Like I think Reed's their most used, and they share it around so much, just trying to develop players and ease the load on people. So it's a bit tricky. But like you said, like they scored pretty well fantasy wise in terms of overall as a team, and they could continue this season.
I mean, he did 12 tackles is.
That's
I don't know if
help.
I don't know if I expect that every week, but
Gold Coast being slippery conditions, that sort of stuff probably helps those.
But I think as
well.
a forward, he's going to be a good option here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Milan Murdock had 95 points. He played forward and kicked 2 goals. He might be one worth looking at. I was kind of put off because like I think he was a waffle midfielder, but it was kind of clear that they were going to play him as like a half forward type thing. But he put up a good score. What are your thoughts?
I really liked him. Like he looks like he's a gun. Like I know in waffle he's had these massive scores. He had like 18 tackles in a game and went massive.
Yeah.
But I really liked him. I think he's going to be in that team. I was talking about the waivers before. He's on our waivers. I'm thinking that might be my first one in because he's going to pick up forward status if he can keep in the team. And I don't think he's not going to be there with that performance. So I think he's a really good pickup.
Yeah, probably should put that waiver wire request in now. I'll do that straight after the show. But anyway, Jake Waterman is the other one as well. Like he had 80 points. Took 3 goals to get there, but like he's kind of like, we're talking about Lynch before. Like there's no one else to really kick to. I know they've got Reed and they've got Duff Tyler, but they're pretty young and pretty skinny. They're going to get pushed around. Waterman can he's an all-Australian key forward and premiership key forward, you know?
Yep. He looked in that Origin game as well, and he looked great as well. Yeah. So I think he's in for it's good to see him fit. Yeah,
so he's probably a decent forward option if he's out there on waivers as well. Elliot Yeo had the 71 from 57% time on ground. Do you reckon he gets that up eventually, or does it stay pretty low? Surely it's higher than 57%.
It should be higher in time. Actually, 71's not too bad, is it?
Yeah. Like, and he's spending a bit of time forward as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's the other thing.
Geez, if he's on I assume he's quite highly owned, but he's probably not the worst guy if he can get cheap, like real cheap.
Yeah. But let's just see if he can back it up first. But he could be a contender option out there. And just looking at some of the rookies, like Willem Dersma, 69 points, like you take that if you drafted him, especially pick one type thing.
Yep. He had CBAs as well. Yeah. Which I really liked.
That is a good sign. And same with Josh Lindsay, like 66 points. Like I was looking at the breakout tracker and like I was looking at averages after one game type thing. And he is 66 points is basically like the top 20 defenders in the competition. They all like they had a combined average of like 66 points after their first game. So it's like,
and he's bang on.
It's the magic like number that you want to start at. Like if you're going to have like it's not gospel, but like it's an average between those good players. If you score around 60 in your first game, it's a good sign, you know?
You made a comparison of him being like a Jordan Clark with a left foot.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the perfect
I think so example. As well. Yeah. So he's a good one to watch. And I think, like I said, just scoring that 66, like you might have expected more or whatever, but like I think it's a good sign that he got it in his first game. Let's move on to the listener questions and then we'll wrap this one up. Where are they? Here, I've scrolled down too far now. Thank you. Shashin 811. Did Grundy just have an off week, or should we be worried? What are your thoughts?
So
he copped a knock early, and I thought he was going to be out concussed because he took so long to get up and he was holding his head and everything.
Opening round, he had a 70-point second half and sort of saved his score.
Yeah,
and now we saw him not do that this week. Yeah, yes, it was double rucks. I don't know. I'm a bit 50-50. But he does look good though. Yeah.
The thing is young Grundy was like a mark kick kind of guy, but old Grundy's kind of turned into more of a tackler. And I think we're seeing a few of those less repeat stoppages, less tackles at the ball up, less ball ups in general. I think it might hurt him more than we originally thought. But again, I will probably back the game to slow down again eventually. And even last year, he didn't start the season super well. He just kind of worked his way into it mid-season when the game did kind of come back to him a little bit. So maybe we just have to be patient with someone like Grundy a bit more.
Off week.
Yeah, let's go with off week to start off with because he did ton up last week.
He did ton up.
Yeah.
Mortarded,
he's gone round 3 keeper DPP watch. Any you picked from the preseason opening round? So I've made a bit of a list of some DPP guys, and I've actually forgotten a few here. But I'll put the ones I've forgotten first. So Yo playing a bit more forward, but he's playing low time on ground, so I'm not sure if he gets up to that 35% to get there. I forgot to put Took Miller in this list as well.
Yep,
so
definitely.
He's actually already
should be pretty locked.
He's already updated on the API, Champion Data API as mid forward.
That's awesome.
Pendles is currently a mid forward on there. Sidebottom's currently a mid forward on there.
We'll see if those stick.
Cornelio is currently a
should definitely
medium forward on there. Then some defenders. Zach Williams has been updated as a defender. Florent has been updated as a defender. Lachie Bramble's been updated as a forward. Xavier O'Halloran's been updated as a forward. Connor Butterick has been updated as a defender. Chad Warner has been updated as a forward. That kind of goes to show his shitty score on the weekend.
Yep.
Then Jack Carroll has been added as a defender on there. Windhager has been added as a defender. Ollie Dempsey's been put as a forward, but he gets forward and kicks goals. I guess. I think did he kick goals the opening round? I can't remember.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yep.
So that probably makes sense. Ryan Steele's been added as a forward. Sam Davidson's been added as a forward. Luke Parker. And these next ones are just ones that haven't been updated, but I think will get updated probably this week or next week. Luke Parker is a defender, most likely. Tanner Bruin is a defender. Blamire as a defender, and Murdock as a forward.
Yep.
I think they're probably the list.
So they must need maybe 2 weeks of data then to change, because
it looked like 1 week. I just don't know when they updated the data, if they did it during the weekend or whether they did it Friday. They might be doing it weekly now, which would be pretty handy for fantasy coaches and people like that on top. But yeah, if they are doing it weekly, I'll put out graphics and stuff on Instagram to kind of keep them going. So I'll keep checking later. I did check later today.
There's some really handy plays there.
Yeah, I did check today that Luke Parker's still a midfielder on there, so they haven't updated it today. So I'm not sure when they do it, but we'll have a
also
look.
the defender, sometimes the midfielder defender, they don't classify it.
Yeah, he just stays as a midfielder.
Stays as a midfielder. Yeah. So I think that's probably the Bruin and the Parker.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, fair enough. Tom Oates asks, does Stevens keep 75% of this up for the season? I know there's a few out in the midfield currently. There's probably something we didn't mention with his score. It doesn't really matter, he plays on the wing, but Wardlaw's still out. There's still a few players that got to push in there. Does Powell come back out? I don't really know.
I think you take a punt on him because...
What's 75%? Does he average 80, I guess, this season?
And years before, Bailey Scott used to play that wing and he went at 85, I'm going to say.
Yeah, it was around there. Yeah.
Around there. So is a Stevens 85? Bailey Scott's out of the side now.
Yeah.
So best case, could he do that? I just think
he could
take a punt and see how it goes.
Do I burn my number one priority on him, or do I go Murdock? I need to figure this out.
Maybe it depends what your team. If you need a forward,
probably need a mid more than anything, to be honest. So maybe I do it. Nathan Proctor says, great advice last week on Fonty. Here we go, another one. That's good. Here's one for you. Ned Long, Sam Berry, or Cam Mackenzie going for a premiership this year. I'm looking at the game and, reduced stoppages and all that sort of stuff. I think Cam Mackenzie's probably got the best inside-outside game.
He's younger too, and it's just he's, Berry just... Long and Berry are they're good, but...
I'm worried about Long because he hasn't actually put up a good score in the 2 games yet.
And Berry's just the job security. I know had a good game, but Cam Mackenzie, from what we saw, should be in there. Yeah,
I think Cam Mackenzie's probably the best option there as well. P-Rex is asking whether you think the increased scoring in games and decreased time on ground for midfielders could result in a movement that makes key forwards and small forwards more viable as options in our keeper teams compared to years past where we're trying to get the mid forwards with the forward status in there. From what we've seen so far, it looks viable. It's just so hard to comment because I don't know what the game's going to look like in 6 weeks' time. No one does.
No.
But if we go on trends in previous seasons, it looks different, and some of these people do fall back to the pack. I love Kays, but he's great at an early crow. And he's I'm a genius because I picked this player. And then by mid-season, they're nothing.
Done.
Yeah, that type of thing. So, there could be a few of those this season as well. So.
Even just, we've talked about Van Rooyen, Norton, Waterman, these are key forwards, all pretty viable. So,
and even people like Charlie Cameron, keep putting up decent scores and stuff like that. So, even Kyle Lohman, I think, as well, has put up a decent score. There's players that are going okay.
And higher scoring is going to be more... Someone's got to keep the goals.
Yeah, exactly. So, might be a viable option, for sure. Matt W., early thoughts on pre-season darlings. He's given us a selection, and he wants to know whether we're worried about them or we're happy to forgive them. So, we'll go through them one by one. Tell me if you're worried or you forgive them. Elijah Hollands, are you worried or do you forgive him?
Jeez.
I'm worried just because he's in a shit team.
Yeah, go worried.
Yeah, I think it's more of a Carlton factor than him. But
he's only come in as well recently.
Yeah. Lachie Cowan, will you forgive or are you worried about him?
I'll forgive because it's his first game back.
I'm with you on that one. Archie Roberts, 59. Do you forgive or are you worried?
You have to forgive. Like
There's no way he's playing 59% time on ground.
He's
right?
a weapon. Like,
yeah.
And he can go half back if they need to. He's playing the midfield, which is the different role.
Yeah.
So you forgive.
Oh, what's Brad Scott doing? Anyway, Riley Sanders, 48 points. Are you worried or do you forgive him?
I'm forgiving because I know what he can do. And for a keeper, does he get a trade?
That's probably a good point. I'm worried because he just doesn't seem in their midfield plans.
Yeah, I don't think he's in at the Dogs. It's just like...
Yeah, does he go somewhere else?
But then people are saying he's going to stay. But then I'm hearing that he might come to the Crows.
Yeah. So
you hold him in a keeper, I think. Just
put him on your bench. Yeah, stash him away in case it comes good. Rouston, 61 points. Are you worried or do you forgive?
I forgive because I saw a moment in opening round where he racked it up. He got like 30 or something points in a bit of a play.
Yeah,
so
okay. That's a lot of points.
I think I'm going to forgive.
I'm worried just because he seems like too thick and like little nuggety, and just doesn't suit like a fast inside outside kind of guy. So I'm a little bit worried about him. What about Dempsey at 41? You
got to forgive that.
Yeah.
Like he got 4 goals and ton last week.
He should suit the rule changes. Like he's the type of player that he should go well with. Long, I said I was worried about him before.
I'm worried.
Yeah, same. Peatling, 68. Worried.
Worried.
I just think, like I said, Berry, and I think Berry's better than him in a ranking. He's going to come into that midfield as well.
He's just sort of,
Harvey Langford, are you worried or do you forgive?
You got to forgive Harvey Langford.
Yeah,
he played a lot of wing, so I don't know what the go was there.
I'm worried for this season, but I kind of have been all pre-season. Like I just think he needs another year, before he breaks out.
Full inside.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be a weapon.
Yeah. Xavier Lindsay, 60. Is he a second-year player?
Second year.
I'll forgive him.
Forgive.
Yeah. Like
he's playing half back. First time he's played it, I would say.
At AFL level.
At AFL level.
Yeah.
He's always wing, and now he's played there.
And Caleb Windsor, do you forgive or are you worried about him?
So I've changed my whole tune on Windsor. I'm with you on him. I know early on I was, but I know he's playing inside. I just potentially, I think you were saying this, sometimes you can just be a good winger.
Yeah.
And be a good 80-plus winger.
I think if he was on the wing, he'd probably be scoring better because we're seeing all the other wings score well as well. So
maybe it is better he's there and you put Langford inside. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's probably the better way to go about it as well, but I'm not the coach, so... and I probably never will be the coach in Melbourne. So, anyway, not with that attitude. Boysenberry wants to know, can we talk about rucks? Feel like expecting big scores from good ruckmen are a thing of the past. Only 4 times 100 plus scores this round. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's hard, innit? There's only so much data so far, but we could see maybe it is a chance where in these games. You might see 30, 40 point differences in teams, like in keeper team, like matchups.
Yeah.
If you've got Team English, transitioning going 120 and then you've got a Pitt in it at 70,
you're
going to get 50 points a week and there's only like 3 or 4 rucks doing it. So it could be a pretty advantage. I don't know, we need more data on it.
Yeah. Because we already saw there's low time on ground for some of the rucks, and then we've had increased ruck splits because of the 23rd man, they're playing 2 rucks that probably wouldn't have happened in the past. And I think like we said before, it's a real drop in ruck contests, and that just removes if there's I think it was 10 or so, a bit more than 10, but that's just 10 less hit outs you're going to get per game with potential hit outs and repeat stoppages and tackles in those kind of things as well. But again, we also see this every year, games really fast at the start, could slow down and become a bit of more of a scrap later on as we get into it. So I'm worried a little bit, but yeah, I think if you've got one of those big dog rucks that play as a midfielder and play as a sole ruck as well, you're going to be laughing.
Yes.
But there's probably only 2 or 3 of those in the comp at the moment that'll be trusting as well.
English, Jackson.
Yeah.
Hopefully Grundy bounces back. Max Gorn was pretty good.
Gorn was probably the other one. Yeah. For me, Tom De Koning should be that guy, but he was woeful. Gorn just towed him up. So I don't know if he's actually born to play that role. But anyway, that's I think it for this week. That's all the podcasts. Geordie, you're obviously a member of the Pod these days. People can listen to that on all the podcast platform. Where's your episode out this week? Yep. So we're recording Tuesday nights now. So tomorrow we'll be doing that, and that's classic. So if you are doing a classic team, we'll go through all the carnage that happened. It was a pretty big carnage round. So
jump over there.
Have a listen to that one. I don't think I've told people properly. I think I've mentioned a few times. I'm not playing Classic this year, and
I was trying to get you to, but
it's great. It's just awesome not having to worry about trades and injuries and stuff like that. Like,
I think for me, like, I really want a hat, and that's like my thing to get. Like, I've got the other stuff.
Supercoach top 10 or top 11 or whatever it was.
And then keepers, I love
I got
keepers.
no issues with it. I just needed less things to think about each week, less stress. Like, I don't have any problem with Classic, but like, I'm just happy I don't have to stress about that sort of stuff. Don't have to worry about what I'm going to do with Golden, what I'm going to do with Grundy and all that sort of stuff. Like,
that's all
great.
my thing this week. So,
I've just got them stuck in my keeper league team and can't do anything with them anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's got to let it go. Get around us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. There's one at Discord, wherever we are. You can chat to us there. Make sure you get around our sponsors, Keeper Fantasy. Again, it's never too late to bring your league across if you're not happy with the platform you're using. Just talk to Ryan and he'll help you do that. And if you want to support this show and keep it free and keep it coming out each week, then please sign up as a member. You'll get access to all of our bonus content, resources, tools, and all that sort of stuff as well. And it just keeps the lights on and gives me the time each week to work on it. Anyways, that's it. Thanks, Geordie.
No worries. And good luck round 2. Hopefully you get 5 wins.
Hopefully it's a lot better. Hopefully, more than 1 win out of the 5. But anyway, we'll talk to you next weekend. See you later.